Okay. I'm going to call to order the June 14, 2023 Victorian Village Commission meeting. Our next business meeting will be June 28th, which is a Wednesday at 12 noon at 111 North Front Street, second floor, room 204, which is this room. Our next hearing date will be Wednesday, July 12th at 4 p.m. And that's 111 North Front Street, second floor, room 204. Just swearing staff.
Kimberly Bernard-Sheehan.
Do you agree to tell the truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. Introduction of commissioners present. Rob, want to go ahead and start?
Robert Dossett.
Melinda Shaw.
Reed Sprite.
Tim Skinner.
Sean Conyers. Their overview of hearing format. Do you want to, is there anything that you want to share?
Go short.
Perfect. No public forum today.
No, unfortunately, the director couldn't make it again. He was supposed to come last month. We thank everybody for serving as it was National Historic Preservation Month, and he's got a very busy schedule. So we were hoping he could make this month, and I forgot to take it.
That's okay. Just wanted to be sure. It's awesome. All right. So approval of staff approvals. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve staff approvals.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion is passed. Go ahead and run through what are the abstentions. Kimberly?
All right, this starts on page 3. It was a very busy staff approval month. Starting with the cap at Goodell Street between Park Street and High Street. And then 811 to 815 Park Street, or 821 to 825 Park Street, 70 to 80 West Hubbard, 65 to 79 Wilbur Avenue. And yes, that is all. Multiple addresses. 378 West Hubbard Avenue, 239 Buttles Avenue, 316 West 3rd Avenue, 705 Benson Avenue, 374 West Hubbard Avenue, 218 Wilbur Avenue, 207 West Hubbard Avenue, 348 Buttles Avenue, 769 Neal Avenue, 984 Delaware Avenue, 340 West 2nd Avenue, 316 West 2nd Avenue, and 60 West Lincoln Avenue.
Yes, we're good. All right. Approval of the minutes from May. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve May meeting minutes.
Is there a second?
Second.
Perfect. Any discussion at all, team? Yes, vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passed. Thank you, Blake.
All right, we'll start with application number 1, which is 1079 North High Street. If the applicant is here and would like to make their way up to the table, while I read this off, they are free to do so. So this application is to replace the graphics on an existing 17-foot 2-inch by 5-foot 4-inch projecting sign formerly for Urban Chop House, and to replace the existing 8.35-inch tall horizontal black open face neon channel letters on the silver backer with 9-inch tall pink open face channel letters with a push-through acrylic clips on black backer, and to replace the existing vertical 15.83-inch open face channel letters painted black and illuminated with white LED Tivoli bulbs and silver backer with Santos letter, 20-inch tall open face channel letters with pink outside returns and white inside returns and back white LED Tivoli bulbs and black backer. Colored accents above and below Santos text are to be non-illuminated high-performance vinyl. The applicant has worked with HBO staff to remove the language regarding the bulbs being animated in their submitted materials. The new sign is roughly the same dimension as the previous Urban Chop House sign. The proposed sign is 91.6 square feet. The proposed sign does not meet the short word design guidelines. It's not pedestrian oriented, it's over the square footage, but the size and shape have previously been approved. Staff does recommend approval of the application as submitted with any clarifications to be submitted to staff for review and approval prior to the issuance of the certificate. Basis for staff recommendation are the short word design guidelines on signage, including the general guidelines. projecting for blade sign guidelines.
Thank you, Kimberly. Get me sworn in. And so can you state your name? Can you sworn in?
Excuse me, Kylie Cochran from Signcom Incorporated.
Perfect. Do you agree to tell the truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
All right, awesome. Turn it over to you.
That pretty well covered it. Let me know if you have any questions.
Yeah. Perfect. Very simple. Any thoughts, team?
I'm good.
Pretty simple. So just kind of thinking about it, it only came back to us probably because it was a little larger. It was in alignment with what was there prior.
Yes, and if you do approve it, I'll just ask for reasons why, because it does not meet the guidelines.
Okay. And just to, so that makes sense. So it's like for like in terms of the size that was there, whatever. At that time, it might have been something that related to its composition and related to that new build, that might have been part of the discussion. I do remember this application, but I don't remember the sign and that dialogue related to it, but, okay, easy enough. Any thoughts? Decision making. That's what we should. All right, is there a motion?
Motion for VV 23 06 016 1079 North High Street as submitted.
Second.
Any other thoughts? A vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passed.
Right, and you've already stated the reasons.
I was hopeful that that was the case.
We were trying to get ahead there.
I was, well, just trying to promise.
Yeah. Does anybody have anything additional to add to what Sean's
I
reading?
think that was perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right, and then application number 2, moving on, is 30 Price Avenue. This was previously reviewed as home to a second avenue. So this is another signage application, but to install signs, 2 wall signs and a blade sign. A wall sign on the primary elevation is being proposed at 24.28 square feet. Black PVC mounted wall sign with LED linear light fixtures bolted to the canopy. And then faux foliage is to be added. The parking blade sign will be approximately 4.13 square feet. To be white and black aluminum and vinyl with an aluminum plate welded to support posts at the east elevation. The wall logo sign is to be approximately 2.14 square feet and will be painted aluminum to be installed on the north elevation. Topics for discussion are the Short North design guidelines allow for 2 signs per single storefront. Since this is a larger building, is the proposed number of signs. All 3 signs are under the maximum square footage for wall and blade signs. HBO staff does not encourage the use of faux plants. We recommend exploring other decorative signage alternatives to that. Staff recommends either continuing the application to allow the applicant to explore alternative signage ideas to the faux plants, or approving the application with the condition that the faux plants are not used as part of that wall sign on the south elevation. Basis for recommendation of the Short North design guidelines on the general signage, wall signs, and the blade or projecting signs.
Thank you. Kimberly, can you state your name, get you sworn in?
Jessica Sharon.
Perfect. Do you agree to tell the truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, Jessica, go ahead.
So Kim summed it up very well for us. This is a small, well, big or small, depending how you look at it, multifamily project, about 158 units. So we're trying to keep the signage clean and reflective of the environment it's in, both marrying Victorian Village with the Short North. Definitely want a parking sign. I think once our residents go in at once, they'll know exactly where they're going, but in the event that they have, somebody driving them or whatever, we don't want to clog up the street on Price. So we think this is important to have that sign. Thought the greenhouse sign is really simple because we are incorporating a lot of green design, biophilic design. We wanted to reflect that on the outside. Thought it was something a little bit different that we don't normally see. We have a few different faux plant vendors that we're using on other projects here in Columbus, and they've delivered very well. But knowing this is a little bit different, we didn't include that as part of the signage. It wasn't exactly sure how we should do that. So it's still conceptual. And then on the other side of the project at the old IBW building, you see a really simple greenhouse sign as well. That's to direct traffic to that access point for our leasing office. So tried to keep them within the context of the neighborhood, make sure people can get where they're going without having anything too boisterous or too big, loud, etc.
Awesome. Thanks, Jessica. All right, any thoughts? So we got two signs, really, the main ones are the more linear sign and then the parking sign. So I think those are the two that are in proximity to one another. That was kind of prompting staff's discussion. Any thoughts on the proximity and any concerns given their what they're addressing?
They're addressing two different uses, so if you're limited to two per storefront, the parking's almost the thing.
Makes sense. Fair. I mean, I just kind of think about the history of this particular project a little bit, so I appreciate, obviously, you know, the development team trying to offset some of the concerns related to parking and traffic and circulation, so seems like that's beneficial. Okay. Any concerns with let's start with the other greenhouse sign, which is the one that's on Second? The surface mounted, the more historic facade. So I think the only thing, lighting, I think is one thing in terms of illumination, but I think that the staff has talked about the kind of full plants and kind of utilization of that. Any thoughts or concerns related to that element?
I like the look, but I understand the kind of just the longer concerns of approving the vote plans here and how they get used elsewhere and in the wrong ways. So I guess I do appreciate the caution. So I don't necessarily disagree with it. I think there is something about grounding that piece. So I don't know if that's something that you guys would want to continue to explore, if there was an alternative to set that off, or if you're okay with just the letters without that base to it.
Any additional thoughts?
Yeah, I'd want to see the full plants, like I see on one person before approving that.
Good. Is it more, just kind of Kimberly, is it more, you know, staff's thoughts, is it more that there really hasn't, you know, this hasn't come up? Or are there other concerns that maybe if we were to outline those concerns that the team would have an ability of being able to kind of continue the research on that and then come back with maybe solutions that may address those concerns?
So kind of twofold, we haven't seen that before, and also maintenance and the upkeep of the, full plants, like how are they going to weather and where, and then would it be better to incorporate like more of a plant motif in with the sign? So you don't have to worry about it getting dusty or dirty or.
Perfect. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So I wonder, just quickly, is there an ability of being able to advance the sign conditions without, so to speak, approval of the green? And then if you were to take some additional time without throwing that concept away, but to be able to evaluate that and maybe potentially come back, is that something that's been?
I have time, so that feels good. I think I was most wanting to get buy-in on the signage elements themselves, which I don't want to misspeak, but it sounds like I have. I feel very confident about being able to bring you like physical samples, UV ratings. I could have my vendor come in with me to speak about the plants. We'd have, like they usually have like a 10-year lifespan or a 5-year, so we'd have some sort of plan, but they have all that information. I have time, so I was wanting to make sure that I didn't have to kind of scrap all of it and start all over, but I'm more than happy to bring in the plans, specs, kind of a design. It's probably like an epoxy that it gets adhered to, but so you can like physically see and touch the plants and learn a little bit more about them as well.
And even if there are other examples of installations that
Yeah.
you can share that kind of
Yep.
show where it's been used before.
Yeah, it's great.
There you go. And then Jessica, you mentioned that conceptual, and then is this not a conceptual? I couldn't remember, like,
It was for,
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I meant the plants.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't have like, my vendor isn't locked in fully because I wanted to make sure we had this meeting first. That's the only thing I meant by that. Sorry.
no, perfect. I wanted to be sure from that standpoint, so that's helpful. Any other concerns that we need to address it? Okay, so I guess it would be a motion related to the signage only, with the understanding that the the plant element is not part of the approval and that'll kind of continue with a different application or further, yeah, it would be a different application at that time, right?
You could always split it out too,
Okay.
depending on what everybody feels comfortable with. You know, Jessica wants to put in a separate application, but the signage does technically include the plants, so,
Okay, so it would be an amendment to that one. So,
yeah, so just, signage only, and then part B, maybe continue the foliage.
foliage item. All right, let's just do it that way. Is that okay?
That
Jessica?
works, yeah, thank you.
So item A is a motion related to the signage itself only. Is there a motion?
I don't know, maybe we should have Commissioners Sprite and Skinner sit out and challenge that.
That was the look. It wasn't because I didn't know what to say, it's because I was told before that.
I just spoke, certain the last time for doing almost all the motions.
Don't scold him, but if it's the rest of
Especially not on a complicated plan.
That does the motion. So we've got a motion for approval of all of the signage.
As submitted.
Yeah,
Yes, I'm right next to him.
And we're.
I wait for the pause when I know he doesn't want to do it, then I can.
Sorry, Jessica.
all right, so Rita, are you giving a motion then?
I guess. Okay, so, motion on, application VV 2306017 30 Price Ave. Part A to approve the signage as submitted, and part B with the foliage to be, continued to,
It has to be a separate motion.
it has to be a separate motion.
Yes.
Okay, part A, motion to approve then, as the signage as submitted.
Second.
Any further discussion on part A, which is only signage? Awesome. All right. Yes, well, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion A has passed. So part B,
Yes.
which would be continuance of the foliage portion that is, being proposed, conceptual.
Motion on VV 2306017 30 Price Ave, Part B, to continue the discussion of the foliage for the sign to a future hearing.
Any second?
Second.
Awesome. Any discussion at all? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Continue.
Thank you.
So
Thank you.
All right, and then we have application number 3. This is 997 to 1001 on North High Street. This application is an exterior building modification to change the door swings to swing into the storefront. Install door openings to 2 of the main entry doors. Door openers are to be mounted on the interior of the space with the push pad button on the exterior. Remove existing rear transom and replace with a modified transom window and mechanical grill. Fresh air vents. Storefront to remain as is. Repairs would be in can only invest per previous submittal and approval. I've included the minutes taken from the May 10th hearing with the commissioner comments. And HBO staff does support accessible features being added, including placing the automatic operator in the transom as it can be considered temporary, easily removed feature that does not harm the contributing features, which would be the windows. The Department of Building and Zoning Services is requiring the change of the door swing as part of the accessibility requirement, and that documentation should be included. The staff recommends approval of the application as submitted with any and all clarifications to be submitted to HBO staff for review and approval prior to issuance of certificate. Basis for staff recommendation is City Code 3116.11, the standards for alteration, as well as the Victorian Village Guidelines on storefront rehabilitation. And do I need to bring up any additional chairs? Or are you?
Then they can come up as we need, is that all right?
Well, if they're gonna come up, we want to swear them in all at the same time.
Yeah, I'll just have everybody come.
If you want that chair, I'll.
They can move
These are comfort chairs.
That's fair.
Good job.
All right, go ahead and state your names for the record, starting with yourself, sir.
Yeah, my name is Alvin Nunes. I'm gonna be the tenant for the Lincoln Center. I'm Robert G. Weiler Jr. with Skip Weiler, Robert Weiler Company.
Stefan Saheda with Red Architecture and Planning. Jim Spiegel, Robert Weiler Company.
Do you guys agree to tell the truth and nothing but the truth?
Yeah.
All right, so go ahead, gentlemen.
I'm basically just, I guess I want to just clarify that we're here to get approval for everything that Kimberly just mentioned. The changes from the last meeting we had were basically not making modifications to the exterior storefront at this time, but just improving the entrance as we need to for building department accessibility requirements. So everything she stated was accurate and yeah, and without modification to the exterior storefront. Hoping that we can just get approval.
Easy enough. All right, so I think last time, I think a lot of our focus, just kind of thinking back, I think it was, can the door go away? Not, because it should read as a door, so it seems like that was still reading as a door. And then I think the other one was just the impacts of the existing wood storefront and maintaining it versus what was being proposed before, which I think was fiberglass and potentially, or slightly modifying the knee wall to have a cohesive kind of,
Right.
condition across the entire breadth of the overall existing building. I think that was kind of the discussion topics.
Yeah, we had kind of proposed to do a consistent look of the storefront because there were all three storefronts have slight variations in them. As far as how they're designed, so.
Right. And then any rehabilitation that you guys would do, that would just be like in kind, you guys are planning on doing that. And then there is maybe some glass replacement that's going to be part of that. Okay, correct. So this is more of a, I should say a rehabilitation of the existing conditions, but those existing conditions will remain as is.
Correct.
Okay. Any thoughts?
It's really down to just locking the one door and placing it in the hardware and reversing the swing of two doors and cutting push buttons.
That's correct.
Okay.
And then the push buttons, I think that they clarified last time, because that was the thing that I didn't catch, which was it's going to be battery operated, so we don't have to worry about conduits, things like that. So
Correct.
I think that they have been responsive to things that were on our plate. And I'm doing this from memory, so I'm just.
And the handrails also got removed.
Oh, yes, that's correct. That's correct. Thank you.
Yeah, we discussed that with the building department and so the CBO was okay with this.
More of a grade change condition
Right.
versus it being a true ramp. And perfect. That's great to hear. That's good. Good. All right. So is there a motion if there's no other concerns?
Motion to approve 037 VV 2306018997 North High Street. Revision 6-6.
Second.
Any further discussion? Kimberly, you have everything that you need then?
Who seconded? Was that?
Sweet.
Okay, so that's what I thought. Thank you.
And another reason I stopped and paused, because this one had a lot of different components to it last time, so I just wanted to make sure that you felt comfortable with
Yes.
everything that.
I think they've simplified everything and we're approving as submitted. So.
For sure. Just wanted to be sure. Okay. Well, vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passed.
Thank you.
Thank you. Truly appreciate the help.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Right, we do have two new business items, which should hopefully be kind of quick. We've got the bylaw update and the Short North Parking Benefit District update. Do you want to present the Short North parking first?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay,
Um,
we'll go slightly out of.
yeah, that's, and so, it's a little hard to tell from the slides, but I think the big takeaway from this meeting is that, the department is very much willing and encouraging kind of citizen output in, kind of what they kind of do with the funds that have been allocated to them. I think a fair amount of the meeting was spent on issues that people see, whether it be speeding, traffic issues on Neil Avenue, or et cetera. But I think, just for framing this correctly, that what they really want to get out was, they're not parking enforcement. It's more how do we get citizen engagement and do projects that either educate or, assist in kind of that broader community aspect of what the parking issues are, and how do we, either through signage or temporary zones, et cetera, kind of get people engaged. And so, again, I think the thrust of the meeting was that it was kind of brainstorming, and citizen outreach is certainly encouraged. But, the idea is, again, this is not an enforcement issue as much as it is kind of a structural or wider, how do we as a department just kind of address some of the problems we see without, again, we're having badges and things like that. So it's more, how can we get the community engaged in sort of the issues that we see as a community? So I think their next meeting, they meet quarterly, so probably sometime either in June or maybe mid-July. But yeah, I encourage everybody who has an issue to attend and see what they have to say. Again, I think scooters were probably the primary concern of a lot of people. And so again, they're doing the best they can, but I think again, it's not an enforcement issue. It's just, how do we as a community kind of respond to some of the things we see.
Thank you for attending.
Yeah.
Truly appreciate it. Thank you. Anything that we can do at all?
No, I mean, other than, plug in or give feedback to the extent you want to. As a board, there wasn't certainly a call to action, but just, I think it's helpful to hear kind of what our applicants say and kind of feedback if parking comes up to make sure that we relay that accordingly.
Awesome. Great. Awesome.
All right, and then we have the second reading of the bylaw update for form. So I'm going to skip the preamble and just read everything out. I do need you to vote on it this time unless you'd like to continue and have further discussion. So the Victorian Village Commission's current bylaws regarding quorums state a quorums shall consist of 51% of the non-vacant commission membership for any meeting. We would like to propose to change it to consistent with Columbus City Code section 3119.07. The commission shall take official action only by a majority of the members voting on the question on the table during a public meeting at which there is a quorum. A quorum exists when a majority of the members appointed to and serving on the commission are present at the meeting. When a quorum is lacking, no business can be acted on other than to adjourn the meeting.
Any thoughts on the amendment to the bylaws? Is there a motion then for acceptance of the amendment?
Motion to accept the bylaw amendment.
Yes. Second, perfect. Any further discussion at all? All right, go ahead and vote. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion's passed. Bylaws amendment accepted.
Thank you.
Any other business that we need to take care of?
Just to adjourn.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
Second.
We're all in favor.